Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. We'll give it another 20 seconds or so. And if the co-hosts who are on our team, if they see people coming in through the waiting room, if you could let them in, that would be amazing. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's meeting to learn best practices for engaging your amazing kids with this book, A Brand New Start. This is Home for educators today serving our 3rd to 5th grade students. My name is Michelle Drake. I'm with the Marin County Office of Education. And we are just so thrilled to be in partnership and in collaboration with the Marin City Historical and Preservation Society, Felicia Gaston, the Dominican University of California, and the Marin County Free Library. These teams have come together to provide you, our extraordinary educators, with resource guides and tools and activities and lessons so that you will be able to bring this rich history, primary sources to life in your own classrooms. So today we have a full agenda. Please know the recording for today's session, as well as all of the resources being shared, will be available on our website, which I'm about to link into the chat. Okay, now I'm going to pass it over to Katie Lewis, who will introduce us to a short welcome video from Dominican's President Nicola Pritchard. Katie, take it away.
Thank you, Michelle. We do have a beautiful, colorful slideshow, which we will share with everyone after today's session. So please note that. As we get into the roadmap for today, I'm sorry, as we get into the welcome from President Pritchard, I also wanted to share that we do have a roadmap for today's session. You'll hear some welcome and overview. You've heard from Michelle Drake. You can see the other important folks here who will provide a welcome. Then we have a connector activity, a curriculum connections overview, and then a walkthrough of a sample activity. So we hope that you will have questions that we might be able to address as we move forward. And speaking of moving us forward, I'm going to move to a video from President Pritchard with a welcome message for you all.
Sorry. I'm Nicola Pritchard, President of Dominican University of California, and I'm delighted to welcome you. Our faculty and students have been privileged to work with Felicia Gaston on many important projects, either through her role as founder and executive director of Performing Stars of Marin, or as creator of Marin City Historical and Preservation Society. We're honored to support her efforts to elevate and celebrate the rich and often complex history of Marin City and its residents. We're delighted to expand this collaboration by joining with the Marin County Office of Education and the Marin County Free Library to develop lesson plans and materials based on Felicia's important work. Marin City's history is not often heard by Marin residents, and it's a very important story for us to tell through the lens of Black experiences. I'm honored that Felicia trusts Dominican to help bring her book and its lessons into Marin County schools. Thank you. I'm Nicola.
All right, next up, we have a welcome from Felicia. Felicia.
Okay, good afternoon to all the librarians and educators. It gives me great pleasure to bring you the rich history of the Black experience of the Marin City community. We too are honored to work with the Dominican University faculty, the Marin County Free Library librarians, and the Marin County Office of Education to bring you the curriculum for your students at this grade level. Through this endeavor, we are confident the students will become more aware and know about their local history. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Felicia. Next up, I'm going to take us to our roadmap slide so you can see the names of the next folks who are talking. So I think we have Lana from MCFL with the welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're so happy to see you on this call and thank you for making time. We know that you are very busy. And as you've heard from our partners so far, we're all here in support of you and the celebration of really centering Marin City in our curriculum and daily experience and conversations with students. I'm Lana Adlawan, the director of Marin County Free Library, and I'm here with two amazing colleagues and individuals who will share some of our extension activities with you in a bit. We have Lynn Mays, who's the manager of our Civic Center Library and Auntie Kent California Room, which has some incredible resources. If you haven't had a chance to look at their catalog online or resources, we encourage you to do that as part of this process. And also Ramona Little Taylor, our Assistant Director for Public Services. Both are key supports for this project, like I said, not only today and this effort, but beyond. So your library is here for you whenever you need us, and we're happy to partner with you always.
Wonderful. Thank you. So moving forward in our roadmap for today, I want to introduce you to another important person in this project, and that is Trevon Riley, who's going to lead us through a connector activity. So Trevon.
Hello, everyone. I'm Trevon Riley, Executive Assistant for Performance Stars to the Director. I am so excited to be a part of this. And today we have provided you a PDF of a page of the text out the book. Page 39 is here on the screen, actually. And it's actually something really, when I got a chance to look over it first, it really felt really good to take these memories back and just to think about my neighborhood, where I grew up and how it was. And so right now we would like for you to look over this. It's titled Neighbors Looking Out for Each Other. Just that title alone kind of brings, it might click something in your mind. So as you read over, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to read over this text out of page 39. And while you're reading, I want you to think about what's similar to you and what's different from when you grew up, your neighborhood. And I'll give you time. So yes, thank you. I hope that was enough time. If not, you can have a moment to come back and just take a look. But this is definitely something that we want you to feel close to and connect you to the book.
Is there anyone who would like to respond to the prompt? How is this text in here similar to your neighborhood or different in your neighborhood?
I connected with the doors being unlocked and everybody feeling like family.
Hmm.
Yes.
How about one more?
I connected with kind of helping each other out, babysitting and going to different people's house to have care.
Laura?
For me, it was very different because my neighbors didn't really know each other. And it was very distant. People just coming and going, working a lot, but really keeping to their, to each his own. So it's it's nice to hear that this was happening.
Mhm.
And then in the chat, Pixel 6A says, no Iceman. I grew up with an Iceman. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the activity in the chat here as well. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Wonderful. So what I love about starting with this connector activity is that hopefully you all will see how this page, this activity aligns with much of what we teach in line with the California History Framework. So this is my part of today's presentation is helping to start to make some curriculum connections for us. And before I launch into some apologies in advance, there are some text heavy slides to share with you, but hopefully you can pause the recording and take a closer look later. But I am Katie Lewis. I am an associate professor of education at Dominican, and I, along with several of my colleagues, have been busy starting the work of mapping the big topics in the book to the California History Framework. So a quick caveat is that this work is just starting, and we have some seeds here to work with, and we plan to expand as we go. So on this slide, the California History Framework is linked here at the top if you would like to take a look. I'm sure you all are well versed with that. But one of the things that we did when we started the mapping work is to provide a broad overview of history topics by grade band. So in yesterday's session, we really focused on TK through second and what some of the big topics were there that align well with Felicia's book. And then today we're going to home in on the 3rd through 5th grade band, which this is not every topic that's part of the framework, but what you can see here is that 3rd through 5th graders are really looking into the history of the places they live, broadly speaking, and then moving into a focus on local California history. So we can see at the outset here how important this Marin City history is for setting the context for our students in 3rd through 5th grade. The other pieces that come up in the framework for 3rd through 5th grade is, of course, using primary and secondary sources of information, which we have highlighted in this book, and then noting the contributions of significant individuals, especially in the context of local history. So that's just a glimpse into the 3rd through 5th topics. The other thing to note, let me move this box around just a bit here, is that there are some major history topics that are really important to this book that Felicia has gifted us. So it's important that we sort of set the foundational work for our activities and lessons through this lens. So what you see here is a visual representation of 6 major topics that connect to the book, particularly contextualizing through Jim Crow, World War II, Great Depression, the Great Migration, and more. And I want to highlight the Great Migration piece here because you'll see it come up for the 3rd through 5th activities. So I sort of touched on this a moment ago, but just wanted to let you all know that this question about where we start, we're in the early phases of curriculum mapping. So what we're doing now is we've mapped some big book topics to California framework elements around history standards. And then the next step is to continue that plan, extending the mapping and offering additional lesson ideas connected to standards. So with that in mind, here's our dedicated 3rd through 5th grade slides. Now I'm going to move some toolbars around here so you can actually read what's here. This is one of those text heavy slides I mentioned at the outset. But what we've done here is isolated 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. We've pulled out some significant questions and some historical analysis skills for these grade levels through the California framework. We've also started to list some lesson ideas and/or teacher resources for extending the lessons on these topics. And then in the final column, notice the language of possible standards for planning. This is, of course, not exhaustive. There are additional standards, but these may be good places to start our lesson planning. So just a couple of things to note here. If you look in the 3rd column, you can see that there are multiple opportunities to highlight the sections in the book on Great Migration, and particularly Black folks who were migrating from the South in Jim Crow context, specifically to California. So we have some page numbers here to direct teachers and educators to. There are also opportunities to discuss California's role with working with Joseph James and the establishment of labor unions. So that really comes into play when students are moving into 4th grade, when there's a focus on California as a state, and why people decided to move to California is one piece of that. Another piece of that is California's role in significant movements, as well as significant Californians. So as we move through the book and 3rd through 5th grade, we see teachers and educators starting the work by further contextualizing Great Migration and helping our students understand why folks were coming to California. And we have some additional links here that are children's literature that further explores Great Migration from a broader kind of US level. But then we can come back to Felicia's book to contextualize with our local California community. So I'll give you all a moment to look over this information, the additional resources you see linked here. Later, after today's session, there will be a PDF copy of today's slides in which you can still click on these links that will take you to these resources. Okay, I'm going to hand things over to our partners from Marin County Free Library to walk us through a 3rd through 5th grade activity.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you everyone for your presence here today. It is really an honor to have this gift of your time. My name is Lynn Mays, and I'm the Senior Librarian at the Civic Center Library in the Auntie Kent, California room. And in our role as community partner in education, we readily embrace opportunities to bring history to life, as Felicia's exhibit and book does. And our contribution in this instance is a simple extension activity designed around Felicia's book, which we hope will offer students an opportunity to reflect on what they saw and heard and experienced in the exhibit and perhaps go a bit deeper. And so the structure is the same for each grade band. So we follow a framework that begins with a pre-reading discussion, followed by material from Felicia's book and specific page numbers, post-reading discussion, and a suggested follow-up activity. And the discussion questions in this particular extension activity are meant to help youth locate themselves in a space where they can consider what people were going through at that time. The illustration that you see is from Eloise Greenfield's book of poetry, The Great Migration, which is on one of our Marin County Free Library book lists. That's part of the set of resources that you'll see in the portal. We can go to the next slide. And so you'll see that there's a specific direction to connect the activity to the reading and some supplementary reading, including the 7 letters resource that was also mentioned on Katie's earlier slides. But overall, the intent here was to provide something that could be fairly turnkey, pretty much ready-made, and developing something for grade bands obviously meant having to stay relatively broad. So we hope there's a decent balance between the specificity and adaptability in these activities so that you can make them fit for purpose in your own lesson plans. So I recommend checking out the Eloise Greenfield book. I really fell in love with it. There are amazing paintings, illustrations, and just incredible poetry that is so resonant. So anyway, the handouts will be available on the portal from Marin County Office of Education, the link to which I think you'll have I think that's in the chat probably. And I think the handouts will be available by the end of the week. And if it's sooner than that, someone can correct me. But yeah, so that's about it. I just wanted to say thank you to the educators at Dominican University who really provided significant feedback to make these as meaningful as we possibly could make them. And of course, in terms of feedback, we extend the invitation to all of you who are experts in the field to let us know what worked in these activities, what didn't. As librarians, we know that research and learning is iterative. We just cycle back through and do it again and again and get better every time. So we know this is just the beginning. And we look forward to your input and that of your students as well. So thanks very much.
Hey, thank you, Lynn. I just wanted to reiterate the importance of the feedback we are requesting, Lynn, because you're right. I think we are really interested in what you as educators find works well and doesn't work well, because we want to continue to improve the resources for you all. So thanks so much for that. And I will hand things back over to Michelle to talk to us about the instructional materials portal.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Katie, would you mind sharing the link or popping it into so it shows up on there we go. So we do have a website. I just placed the information into the chat. So that does have instructional materials to support the text as well as to support the visits of some of you might be coming with your classrooms to visit the exhibit here at the Marin County Office of Education. So take a look at that. If you go up to the top where it says the Legacy of Marin City, right there, yeah, perfect. And then just go to the homepage of the Legacy of Marin City. Thank you. That sort of gives you where you can book a tour if you are able and your classroom is able to visit us here at the MCOE. And if you scroll down, there is the recordings of these calls will be here. This will have all of the great information that is forthcoming from Dominican as well as the Marin County Free Library. So we will ensure that all of this is sent back out to you and to your teams. And I just want to open it up for questions. You have the experts here. You are all experts as well. So please, if there are any questions.
Can I ask a question about the field trip?
Yeah.
Did you say, so is everything on display? Is it like a walkthrough? How much time are people allotting for that?
Yeah, Felicia, will you please share about the experience that they will get with you?
Yes, the tour lasts about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on if kids or whoever adults have any questions, but the max is about an hour, and there are plenty of images. It traces when people left the South and their route to come to California. It has lots of artifacts. We have the shipyards. We have the social life, the housing, the stores, and when the new apartments were built in Marin City. So the exhibit actually covers from 1942 to 1960. The book covers from 1942 to 2022. So that covers 80 years.
Okay. And how do you feel like we should prepare the students for that? Like what should they know before going to the field trip?
Well, we are so excited that Dominican University faculty and Marin County librarians have prepared all of this excellent materials. To me, having all of this ahead of time will definitely prepare the young people, and then it will help enable them to even ask more questions. But all the materials is on this site here.
Right.
Yeah, if you click into the instructional materials location.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There's questions to ask during the field trip.
Mm-hmm.
So that your students can kind of be prepared on sort of what great questions they can ask.
Thank you.
You know, I could also add that it could be nice to lead your students through that connector activity that we started out with. And then they can be on the lookout for those two women in the exhibit too, right? Like any evidence of those types of neighborhood relationships, that would be a nice way to kind of prep them and connect it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just add that in the extension activity, there's a whole set of kind of pre-read discussion questions that really try to get kids thinking about what would it mean to pick up stakes and move? What would you bring with you if you only had a few minutes to pack, or if you only had a short time to pack? What would you take with you to eat? What would, how would that feel? What would it feel like to, what kind of, character traits would someone have to pick up from everything they know and venture into the unknown? And it kind of gets into a little bit of around what were the conditions that were causing people to leave. And so that Great Migration topic, you can kind of introduce it by really just sort of centering kids in those thoughts of what that experience might be like for them.
I also would like to encourage the students to think about asking these same questions to their own family members. Talk to their grandparents, talk to their parents, ask these questions that lots of times now I wish I would have asked more questions of my grandmother and my mom, because we're just so used to being around them all the time. And then now kids have so many opportunities through, I know that they have access to technology, but it's important that they learn to write also. And eventually they can be an author themselves if they see that, there's a book that's been published and it's based on their own family history. Hopefully, because we need to get more young people to be journalists, and we're missing a lot of that today. So I'm sure to encourage them to do writing, and also to have them write about their experience after they come in and visit the exhibit.
Okay, other questions? Libby, I feel like you have a question.
I'm spinning right now. I'm trying to download, and I've already printed up the coloring book and stuff. I just want to comment. I haven't cracked the book, but it came in two ways, because my husband brought me one because John Carroll gave him a copy, and now it showed up, and I said, oh my gosh, we got to do this. And I've got two students in my class up here in Novato who have family who live in Marin City, and we are in the thick of we are just as a commentary, and like I'm preaching to the choir, but I am grappling myself with as this book so nicely does, representing everybody's story. We're going to the Novato History Museum at the end of this month, and I would love to see the Native American story told there too, and not just at the Native History Museum, the American Indian Museum. Anyway, I'm so happy, and I'm really appreciative of all the people who contributed, and of Felicia for spearheading. It seems like you've just really spearheaded this, and I can tell from your spirit, you're just a go-getter, and you're thank you for all the work and hours I'm sure you've put into this. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Visually, it's beautiful. So that was not a question. I shared where I am right now. I'm excited.
Thanks, Libby.
Yeah, I get little taps on my shoulder in the middle of the night sometimes, like, wake up, you got to tell our story. So I'm really appreciative of being able to listen to the pioneers who came and just started asking them that one question: how did you get here? So thank you.
Okay, then, if that is all, we are so appreciative that you were able to join us today. Thank you so much for your time, and please feel free to reach out to us if anything comes up at a different point.
Thank you.
Thank
Take care,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Libby. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you. I might call you after. Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye, Jennifer.
Bye.
Be safe.